Today we're going to be going over a few men's fragrances that will make your collection better than everyone else's around you. And I'm not saying you have to own all of these in order to make this happen, but if you incorporate at least a couple of these into your existing collection, assuming that you don't have them already, I think it's going to set you apart in a really good way. Because there are a few options in here that might not be as popular. And when it comes down to competing with everybody else around you, they're kind of wearing all the popular stuff. So it doesn't take a lot for you to branch off and to take a little bit of a deeper dive into this hobby, to find a few options that still have just a great complement factor and performance and even price ratio to some extent, but then also to have something that does separate you from the crowd a little bit more. We're not talking blue fragrances. We're not talking, things like that, okay? We're going for some stuff that's a little bit different here. Blue fragrances, they work great. I love them and I wear them often, but let's take it a step further. Now, I really want to start off with Code Parfum, Armani Code Parfum. The original has been utilized heavily, right? And I think at this point, it's kind of beyond that, It kind of like the original Spice Bomb, the original Eros, the original Le Male, right? All those have been utilized very heavily over the past years, and then they kind of start to lose a little bit of popularity because some flankers are coming out and times are changing. I think that's what's happened with the original Armani Code, and at one point there was Code Absolute, Code Profumo, and all that stuff. But I think right now, Code Parfum is a fantastic option. It still has a little bit of that original DNA, but they do change things up. They give it more of a modern twist with a nice, healthy iris note in here. It doesn't make it too sweet, but the scent itself also isn't really too much of anything. It's not necessarily sweet. It's not a freshie. It's kind of in the middle. Because you're getting woods, you're getting aromatics, you're getting like an iris note, a whole bunch of stuff going on, some tonka bean. So there's just, a little bit of everything. So no matter what you like, what your taste is, and what other people around you like, this kind of checks all the boxes. It's a parfum concentration with good performance, great quality, great smell. This stuff is amazing. Next up, we have Manera Tonka Cola. So you can, jump over into the niche world, but not really have to adjust your price range, with Manera. I mean, that Armani Code I was just talking about will run you more money than Manera Tonka Cola. And no, I'm not talking about this size bottle, the 60 ml. I'm talking you can get a 120 ml full presentation for less than 100. I've seen it for 97, 95, or maybe right at 100, right? But that's less than Armani Code Parfum. So, and the bottle sizes are roughly about the same too. So that's pretty remarkable. And obviously this is nothing new. Manera has always been a more budget-friendly niche brand for a while, but it's still crazy to me, especially today with how expensive designers are getting. So Tonka Cola is one of their newer offerings that I think is going to go down to be one of their best. I think it's going to be kind of among the legends of Cedrat Boisé or Red Tobacco, Oud Lemon Mint, things like that. I really do. It's going to take a while to get there. Those have been out for years at this point, but I do think it will, especially now that it's becoming readily available here on discounters. It's got Coca-Cola, cherry, and cinnamon. So it's a warm, spicy, kind of fizzy, bubbly, sweet scent. This is, to me, Manera's take on something like Roja Creation E. There are too many differences between the two to call this one a clone, so it's not, But I do think that they were borrowing some inspiration, and this is kind of, again, their version of something like that. This doesn't have the tobacco. It doesn't really have the boozy accord either, but it's an evening, kind of date night, dinner night, more premium smelling scent that is better for cooler weather, but for a summer evening in a 70-degree controlled, indoor area, I mean, there's no reason you couldn't wear this. So for a date night or something in the summer, I mean, this would be fine. And I do think that this is something that a lot of you guys should look into if you haven't yet. It's not really daring, even Roja Creation E, Enigma. I wouldn't call it super challenging, but there will definitely be people who don't like it. I think this one is a little bit more forgiving. This is a really easy way to level up your collection, to get a premium quality scent in your collection for a low cost. Bion Eau de Parfum Eclat. Love the bottle. It's simple, but it's a nice frosted glass. This is their freshest of the line, and that's, you know, pretty easy to tell. It's got grapefruit, musk, ambroxan. Man, it's amazing. You know, the original Eau de Parfum, there is some sweetness going on in there. You know, it has violet leaf, which is amazing, and that kind of gives it an ozonic freshness. But this one, it freshens it up even more. So if you want something that's bright, uplifting, and just clean, and kind of has a sparkle to it, this is a perfect way to go. This and a lot of the other Brionis have been working their way down to a really, really good price point on discounters. I mean, they're all well under 100, depending on where you're shopping and what you're getting and just what's going on as far as the sales and deals. Expect to pay anywhere from, I don't know, $60 to $80, sometimes even less. Like I've seen the Eau de Parfum come up for $48 to $50, maybe even a bit less sometimes. So it just depends, but they're very reasonable. And again, in this day and age, with all of the elixirs and parfums and just things getting expensive, these are very, very welcoming. And I will also say that all of the Brioni scents have just kind of a level of uniqueness that does make them stand out compared to a lot of the other designers out there. So they just have a lot to offer for a very, very reasonable cost. I love these. And this one is perfect for a time like right now, middle of July. Next up, we have Afnan Tarathi Blue. It's got citruses, musk, and amber. So basically, this is kind of a clone. It's a clone of something much more expensive, Bulgari Tiger, which is a very prominent bergamot and ambergris scent, essentially. But it's kind of something unique because when you look at the notes, you look at just kind of, I guess, some of the marketing behind it, or at least when you looked at it the way I did, you know, you're thinking, oh, a summer scent, like something very fresh and very bright. And it could work for summertime, but this does have much more of a depth to it to where you might reconsider a little bit. Now, trust me, I've worn plenty of sweet scents in summertime. I mean, Rasasi Howes, Eau de Parfum, and several more that I'm missing right now that I wear, you know, and that's fine. You know, it's personal preference, but, you know, something to keep in mind depending on what your preference is. But I will say, if you want something that is just expensive and classy and just sophisticated, this is it. This DNA, you know, like I said, Bulgari Tiger, it's much more expensive and you really can't get it on discounters. So retail is about your only option. That kind of sucks. This one is $40 and maybe sometimes even a bit less than that, but we'll just say 40, maybe even 45 to play it safe. But it's very reasonable, especially when you weigh it against the price of the Bulgari. And like I said, guys, a very premium smelling scent. Beautiful amber, bergamot, kind of fresh combination. It smells high class, like to the extreme. This DNA, it's addicting. And so really, I guess you could kind of wear it all year around, you know, and again, especially if you're just working in a job indoors. I mean, it doesn't really matter what you wear if it's air conditioned in summer. But I love this stuff. I love the DNA. Bulgari Tiger, I've only sampled it. I don't have a full bottle, right? So I just don't want to spend that type of money on it, especially when I have something like this. But again, putting them side by side, the sample and this, I mean, they are incredibly close. Next up, we have Polo Blue Gold Blend coming in at an Eau de Parfum, which is nice to see. It's got ginger, melon, incense, sage, and yuzu. I don't know why, but this one has been an easy one to forget about, for me anyway. And I think the reason why is because sometimes, you know, not only Ralph Lauren, but other designer brands and maybe even niche, they put out kind of like, you know, flankers that kind of still smell the same, right? For lack of a better term. And that's kind of what I always imagine this one to be. I'm thinking, oh, it's Polo Blue with maybe a very minor variance and just gold on the bottle, right? That's kind of what I always thought. And even after wearing it and testing it early on when I first got it, I knew that that wasn't the case, but then I kind of forget about it. I go to other things. They're putting out new Polo fragrances every year, sometimes a couple a year. And so then I forget, and then I look at Gold Blend and I'm like, oh yeah, that's probably just nothing, right? And then I go back and I smell it and I'm like, wait a second. Like I've been sleeping on this? You know, what's going on? Because it smells phenomenal. It's much better than the original Polo Blue in my opinion. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but I think there are better options these days. Polo Blue Parfum, Polo Blue Gold Blend. This one does have that incense, giving it just a little bit of a smokiness. So it's kind of like fresh citrus meets a bit of a smoke, just adding a little bit more complexity to the scent profile. I saw online where this one was compared to Acqua di Gio Profumo. I think it's a good thought, and I can see where people are coming from, just kind of incorporating the incense into a very fresh scent, but it doesn't really smell like it. Although I would say that this is the Acqua di Gio Profumo of the Polo Blue line. So like as weighing this one up against the other Polo Blues, this one does take a little bit of a darker approach. So that's kind of how I would look at it. It's a fantastic pickup that I believe isn't absurdly overpriced on discounters. Now this next one, this is gonna be where if you have money burning a hole in your pocket, money's not an issue, you've got some setback and you really wanna treat yourself, whatever it is, it's none of my business. This next one is more expensive though. And usually niche, expensive niche doesn't always work their way into my videos because I try to keep them, you know, pretty broad as far as like a price range is concerned, to where essentially, you know, most people can get into these. This is one exception though. It retails for $500. Every now and then it pops up for around $300. It's still incredibly expensive, but it's one of my favorites. It's Amo Reflection Man 45 Extrait. I absolutely love everything about this. It's got jasmine, neroli, iris, benzoin, olibanum. I mean, you know, really, it's Reflection Man, the scent that a lot of you know. It's been hyped up for a while now, or at least it was, you know, but amped up with an extrait concentration at 45%. That's what the 45 is for, just like Interlude 53% concentration. I mean, these are strong, they're expensive, and yes, that's way too much money, but they are strong. And obviously so is this one. The original Reflection Man, it's an eau de parfum. I've never had the best luck in terms of performance. I mean, it's fine, it gets the job done, but it's one of those issues where then you get this, right? It's so much stronger, has so much more power, it's so much more complex, the blend is richer. Then I kind of look at the eau de parfum and I'm like, I don't need that anymore. Like, why would I wear that one when I have this? So if you have the original eau de parfum and it's been doing you good for years and you don't have a performance issue, stick with that one. But if you're someone who doesn't get the best performance out of the eau de parfum, or you just want to take it to the next level, this is a beauty that's going to set you apart, guaranteed. Next up, we have Burberry Hero Parfum. This one's got cedarwood, amyris, and cypriol oil. That's the only notes that they give you. And I mean, really everything about the note breakdown kind of lends itself to a woody scent. Cedarwood needs no explanation. Amyris kind of gives off a pine, balsamic smell. Kind of like if you've smelled the Bottega Veneta scents, they have pine needles or pine, or one of the two or both. Kind of just gives off that impression, right? Just as an example. And then the cypriol oil, a similar thing. It just kind of gives off that I don't know if you would call it like a pine sap type of smell or something like that, but that's kind of how I would look at it. So everything about this one is pointing towards a woody scent. And then when you smell it, you can confirm that. You really aren't getting any citruses. You're not getting any sweet notes. You're not getting any blue fragrance ambroxan going on, right? This is just an earthy, kind of woody, dry scent that takes it to the next level. The eau de parfum is great too. I talked about that one recently. I think it's great. The parfum is also incredible, and it's hitting discounters. Price is working its way down. It's a fantastic pickup. Ralph's Club, Elixir. You know, speak of the elixirs, I know I've been talking about them a little bit. Here is one. We've got orris root, leather, and lavender. What does it say? Does it say it's a parfum? I can't see it. Someone tell me down below, is it a true parfum? You're not going to be able to see anything about that. But I mean, even in person, I cannot about hardly read that. Yeah. Elixir concentrated perfume, spray parfum concentration. I think it's a parfum. So like I said, all right, I already read off the notes. I'll read them off again. I got myself so confused. Orris root, leather, and lavender. We're not even in focus. Everything's going bad. As far as the Ralph's Club fragrances go, this is one of my favorites, probably my favorite currently, as of right now when there's only 3, the eau de parfum, the parfum, and the elixir. Yes, I know it's convenient because this is the most expensive, right? So of course I have to like this one and tell everybody it's my favorite because it's the most expensive. I don't do that on purpose. I paid for this myself and I don't like that it costs that much. And again, I paid for it at retail. Discounters, it's going to be a different story, but I don't like anything about that. I made a whole video on my members only page talking about the pricing of designer fragrances and how crazy it is. I don't like anything about it, but I do like how a lot of these elixirs smell. And now that they're working their way onto discounters, they're getting more reasonable and a bit more obtainable, but still expensive, especially when you consider the price per milliliter, because conveniently the bottles are smaller as well. Nonetheless, I think if you want to stand out, this is a great option for you because it takes a different approach compared to the others in the line. Last up for this one, we have L'Homme Eau de Parfum. No stranger to the channel. It's got bitter orange, cognac, oak, and lavender. It maintains the original L'Homme DNA, but then adds in a bit of a boozy touch, some orange, and amps up the woods. Simple as that. Really, it keeps it easy. I don't want to overcomplicate things because that's literally what it is. And that original L'Homme DNA, to me, is a masterpiece. It's a beauty, and it's still here, and it's untouched. They really did take that L'Homme, and they bottled it again, but then tossed in some other things on top is how I look at it. So they didn't tamper with it too much. They kept it true to the L'Homme line. To me, it's a true Eau de Parfum flanker. It's not something that's completely different. Beautiful. Phenomenal job. I don't know if it probably is just me, my nose, just getting, refined over the years, but every time I revisit this one, I just fall in love with it even more. I love it so much more now than when I first got it in. Some people would say it's the juice aging. I don't know about that, but I will say I'm liking it more and more every time. That's going to do it for me, guys. Some fantastic scents that will set you apart from everybody else. Pretty much guaranteed. I mean, most people, they're just not going to be wearing this stuff. So now is your chance to stand out. I'll link them up all down below. And if you're looking for anything rare, discontinued, or hard to find, you're going to find all that on my mailing list and texting list. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.